What's going on? What's up? So, gossip. Gossip is what I found out today is that gossip can be good and bad. You get people out here talking about things that they think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. And they get to talking about other people and they're talking about this and that. And I have a tendency to screw up gossip because when people get to talking and they was like, so and so said this and so said that, I was like, okay, what do you mean by that? How do you know they said it? And when I get to questioning things that, see, she knows it's y'all in my business. She finna go talk about me. When they get all in your business, when they all in somebody else's business, sometimes I'll say, have you talked to them and asked them about this particular situation? And sometimes they'll be like, no, I haven't. Well, I don't care that much about it. I say, well, why are you talking about it? Sometimes I say it out loud, depending on how close I am with the person. Or either I'll say it to myself, like, well, if you don't care, then why are you telling me what you know? Or what you think you know? Gossip is, for me, is like, it's a weird thing because a lot of people just guessing and they come up with their own ideas about something. Me, myself, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal like I'm better than other people, but I will go and ask people, I'll hear something. I say, hey, man, I got this idea. And this is why I'm thinking this. What do you think about this, that, and the third? And I'm really looking at it from I'm on the outside looking in, but this is what I think about so-and-so, or this is what I think about this situation. They were like, well, and then they'll give me their opinion on it. And then it didn't get out of hand because it was more of a question than me trying to, plant a seed or put an idea out there about somebody. Like, say, for example, I had with some new people that's worked there. They've been there about 6 years, 7 years. And it seemed like to me and the other people, and I say seem like because we really don't know. People don't have to tell you their personal business, especially on the job, and supervisors, managers don't have to tell you about these people's business anyway. So this particular person, she don't work the same. She got a specialized schedule, so they allow her to basically cut some corners that regular people can't cut. I believe that I could go in there, because I've been there that long, I can go in there and say, hey, I need this and that. Can I have this, day off or work this type of thing for a short period of time? They might say, yeah. And I'm going to say it's due to the fact that I've been there for a while. But this person comes in and, they set rules, and this person seemingly don't have to follow those rules. And there's a couple of other people who come in there. Nobody gets to leave unless you tell somebody you leaving. You can't leave without letting somebody know, or you can't leave till the work done. But we still have people that leave out of there. You take a break, take a 10-minute break, go to the bathroom, come back. Everybody's gone except for like 4 or 5 people. And we had like a 20-person crew. And my buddy was like, why is it that we the first ones in and the last ones to leave? And these people come in, they come in an hour after us, and they leaving way before us. I say, I don't care. Personally, because if they wanted to do something about it, they would have done something about it. And I'm just worried about my check, not really worried about other people's check. So, But anyway, this particular person, everybody, sometimes people be talking about them. And what kills me is that the people that they buddy with be talking about them too. So that makes me watch the people that they cool with. Like, I can't, man, that's foolishness, man. That's foolishness. We're so worried about what this person's schedule is, not knowing if they have a real problem going on, or if they're just finessing the system. It looked like they finessing the system, but I don't talk to them about their personal business, and I feel like if I'm not going to talk to them and find out for myself what's really going on with this person, and why am I going to talk to anybody else about this person and what's going on with this person. I feel like it's a waste of time. I feel like it's trifling. So I don't really get into it. And they're like, oh man, so and so, this, that, and that. Well, when you take your days off in the middle of the week, don't nobody care what you doing. When you take your days off, or you doing what you do, make your schedule, or nobody cares. A lot of people come in announcing, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. It was like, I don't do that because like they had us come to work like an emergency thing because of the weather lately. For the past 2 weeks, they wanted people to come in on Friday, and I was like, I won't be here Friday. They already know that I won't be here. I won't work on Fridays, Friday evenings, or Saturday. They already know that. So I don't announce that I'm not going to be there. When they talk about, oh, you guys got mandatory work on Friday, come in, your scheduled time, 1 o'clock, and blah, 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 blah. Shit, man, I ain't going to be here. I ain't coming in. That's my day off. I don't say nothing. I just fall back. Man, that's crazy, man. They're going to have to come in here on Friday, man, and then work, then be off Sunday, blah, blah, blah. Man, I ain't coming in here. You coming in here? I was like, nah, I won't be here. Only because they asked the question if I'm going to be there or not. And they kind of pause and look at me like, really? It's like, nah, I'm not going to be here. But I don't tell them why I'm not going to be here. I don't need to tell you why I'm not going to be somewhere. I don't need to tell you anything because you are not in charge of me. You are a coworker and you're a supervisor, you're a manager. I just tell you what I need or what I'm not going to do, and you already know what I'm not going to do. So why get into it so much about other people's business? You know? I mean, I don't know if they talking about me, because they used to. I worked another shift, and they was like, why you don't come to work on Fridays? Why you not here on Fridays? And I said, because I'm not scheduled to work on Fridays, that's why. That's the best way I can explain it to you. Man, that's messed up. You don't have to work on Friday. I said, well, schedule a day off if it hurts you that bad. And they would talk, but not really knowing the whole picture of it. That's why I say gossip is crazy, man. Everybody want to get it. People just want to know too much for no reason. And I often kick back and say, well, dang, if Shorty really killing the system, but you doing the right thing, why you worried about, why we talking about her? And then we had a couple other people that was in a similar situation, but I talked to that particular person and asked them, like, hey, actually I didn't ask them. They got to talking, and they were saying that the medication that they was taking, the only reason they was on, basically this person that I mentioned before, this person is supposedly taking advantage of FMLA. So there's another guy who had FMLA. He signed up for it. This dude had mental health issues that he was diagnosed with. So he ended up having to take medicine, and he went to the supervisor. The dude was like asking him, like, what was his problem and stuff? Was he okay? And all. He's like, nah, I got to take this medicine. Because he was calling out so much. He was like, well, you can't come to work when you take this medicine, so we're going to hook you up with FMLA. So he applied for it, and he ended up getting it. So he didn't come to work if he didn't feel like. But then everybody was talking about him. Nobody really knew. So when me and him sat down, we was talking about mental health issues. My daughter has mental health issues. So that's how we got on the conversation. And so he was like, yeah, man, that's why I don't come to work, because the medicine that I have to take, it really slows me down. I'm not supposed to operate heavy equipment or drive. So nobody knew that but me. And I would still hear people talk, oh, so-and-so don't come to work because he milking it. And I said, if you pay attention to it, he probably come to work maybe 3 times a week. And if he's dealing with personal issues at home, and towards the end of his his employment there, he was going through stuff because, you know, not to tell his business, but they had bought a house, right? He and his wife bought a house. But shortly after they bought the house, he had got, she had got laid off, and she didn't tell him. This man come to work, man, having to fight through his disability or his, you know, mental health issues, and he couldn't take his medicine. But it was so much that he, you know, he had to kind of, the last days he was there, he was like, man, he had to figure out what to do. This man, grown ass man, this man was in tears, man, coming to work every day. And I was like, yo, what the problem is, man? What's good? 'Cause we got close. And I started talking to him about it. And he said, man, you know, my wife had lost her job and we had just bought this new house and everything, blah, blah, blah. I was like, damn, bro. He was like, yep. So, like not to be too far off the subject, but like I said before, nobody knew he was going through this mental health shit and he had problems at home because he didn't talk about what he had going on. So, you know, like I said, he was on FMLA. He would get anxiety real bad. He had to take the medicine. He said, I only take the medicine when it gets so bad that I can't handle it. He said, when I take that medicine, he said, it's like the world is so slow. He's like, everything is slow. He said, man, I said, you mean like weed? He said, hell no. He said, man, it's worse than weed. He said, you be on this shit and you would have to go to sleep because there's nothing you could do. There's nothing you can do. So nobody knew about that. That's why I'm saying gossip. If it's good things about gossip, but I'm talking about the bad stuff. We don't know. You don't know who's talking about. You don't know what they're going through personally, and you don't got the balls to walk up and ask them because you feel like you in their business, but you already in their business if you're talking about them and you don't know what they got going on. It's trifling as hell. You know, when people are, you know, doing this and doing this, just observe, you know what I'm saying? Nobody really knows, you know, stuff. I was going through some family issues and it was affecting the work. And then the supervisor, the manager was like, hey man, we need to talk to you for a minute. We in the room talking. I'm just sitting here like, I don't want to tell you what's going on with me. I don't need FMLA. I don't need none of that. But it's just, I'm going through some stuff, family orientated things, and it's a little much for me to handle right now, and it was affecting my work. Y'all didn't care because nobody asked me what was going on at home. They was more focused on, hey man, what can we do on the job to help you perform better? But I would just say, man, I'm not finna tell these dudes what's going on. And so it came down to it when I had some family members pass away and I had to, you know, attend the business, and me and the manager got to talking. I told him, I said, I've been going through this for like the past 4 or 5 years, man. And it's just getting heavy, you know. I mean, sometimes I'm in here just like, sometimes wanting to cry. Sometimes I'm in here mad as hell, and sometimes I come to work late and don't give a shit. But I knew how to keep it to the point where I didn't put my job at risk. But, you know, I just didn't want nobody to know my business. And, you know, I don't know if people was gossiping about me on that subject, but when I hear them talk about other folks, man, just let them people have their way. That's not affecting your pockets. But we'll sit around and talk about them. I mean, gossip, I guess, can come from jealousy or something like that, but it's just weird, man. Just stay out of people's business. Don't be so wrapped up. If you worried about somebody else's business, you ain't taking care of yours. There was a old man I saw in this video years ago. This man lived by himself in a bus in the woods. And he was in his 70s. And how he was able to sustain himself was he would run marathons. And they say every time you would see him, this man would be running. He run into town. He'd be running through the trails. He'd be doing all kind of stuff. And that man, they said like that man never stopped moving. So he was like a mystery type of guy. So they tracked him down, and there was something about some kind of documentary about athleticism or something like that. And so they tracked him down, and one of the things that he said about life, well, he would win these marathons because he was always training, always. They say he would always finish like top 10 or top 5 all the time. Had to be like top 5 because he was always training. And the winnings that he would get from these marathons, that's how he sustained his life, his lifestyle. And we got to remember he's living off grid, so he's probably getting like maybe 1,500 here, maybe 2,000 there, depending on what the pot is. But anyway, one of the things that he said that as far as life, they asked him about his. They asked him about what kind of advice that he had to give. He said, "Mind your own business." He said, "When you mind your own business, when you in other people's business, you're not minding your business. You're not taking care of you're not focused on what your business is." And then I just kind of took it from there, like, man, that's kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of folks is out here worried about other people. You worry about other people, you're not worried about yourself. You're not worried about your thing. You got what you got going on. You all in other people's business. So cut out the gossip. Cut out the gossip, cut out the hearsay and all that foolishness, especially when you don't know what people going through and what they talking about, man. That's how can we go into a conversation like we got facts when basically we probably trying to entertain and win over an audience so they will favor our word over there or anybody else's, or we got a little tidbit of information, so we gonna throw it out there and see if we can captivate somebody and trade information, I assume. But nah, man, cut that foolishness out. It's not worth it to indulge in gossip. I just wanted to talk about my personal experiences on that, but I think tomorrow I'll do a part 2, and that'll be based on my research that I do about gossip. But yeah, man, gossip is treacherous, man. So-and-so did this, did that. I'm like, how do you know? Who told you? Anytime somebody present to you gossip and they come to you and say, hey, I heard so-and-so was this, I'm like, how do you know? How do you know this? Watch, most time people will pause because they want you to accept what they just said. Well, how do you know this is true? I see him every day. So I say, okay, so what is he doing? The more questions you ask about that particular subject to see if that person can verify their information, man, you might get into a fight. You might get into an argument. You might lose a so-called friend because folks just want to tell you shit and want you to believe it. I wonder why that is. Maybe people fall into the doctrine. They've been indoctrinated and they act the same as those who are trying to indoctrinate us. They just follow the procedure. But anyway, folks, I done talked long enough. I hope you got something out of it. Have a good day. Stay blessed. Peace.